All right, Algebra 1 classes. Sorry I'm absent today. I have 2 sick kiddos at home, so we're going to try to do this um, from home. So hopefully this goes well. Whatever questions you have, just write it down for me. So we're going to work today on using your graphing calculator. And I want to let you know that your homework from last night, the worksheet, and also 1 through 8. You asked me about it on Friday, and I'll go over it. Right now, what I want you to do is you have these problems over here on the left, these four tables. Why don't you just pause the video, write these down in your notebook, and then try to answer them when you come back on. So hopefully you pause the video, and on this one, hopefully you got y equals, and let's see, what was it? It was going up by 3. It was 3x minus 1. And hopefully you guys are making the connection. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to do at home. That right here in this row 0 that you're seeing, that's where that minus 1 is. And then let's see if I can get other color pens. Hopefully you're seeing, hey, this goes up by 3, this goes up by 3. And hopefully you're seeing that's where that 3 is kind of in the table. In this one, a lot of students are able to see, hey, the equation is just y equals, 4x. And hopefully you're able to see that, first of all, some people wrote 4x plus 0, that at the end you really are adding 0 there. I would always write it as just 4x. This is painful to watch me write it like this. Okay, but other people said, hey, I know it's 4. This goes up by 4, up by 4, up by 4, up by 4 more. So that right here is your 4. The next two are a little trickier, and it is y, oops, let's move that. Y equals x, let's see if I can get this on here, to the second power. And hopefully you're seeing that negative 1 squared is 1, and 0 squared is 0, or 2 squared is 4, or 3 squared is 9. So you're always squaring the x's. And then this last one, I wonder if any of you guys got it. It should be, hopefully you're noticing that like the negative inputs become positive and the positive inputs are positive, so hopefully you're just realizing that it's y equals absolute value of x. I would say that students probably had the most difficult with this, but I guess we'll see. And to remind you again, you will have 4 of these on your test, which will be next week. So what we're going to be working on is your graphing calculator, and hopefully you can see the right side of my computer has this graphing calculator up. This might be a longer, it's definitely going to be longer than 10 minutes, but make sure you have a graphing calculator in front of you and pause when you need to. So first thing we're going to do is you're going to turn on your calculator and you're going to go up here to the y equals button. We're going to graph the function f of x equals negative 2x plus 8. If you have anything in here, like say you already had an equation, you hit the clear button. If you hit delete, it just deletes out one thing at a time, but if you hit clear, it clears out everything. Then you can type in negative. Now I do want to warn you that a subtraction key right here is very different than the negative key right here. So I'm going to clear it all out. You have to do this negative key that's down here in red right now, and then 2. Remember the x is up here at the xt theta n button, negative 2x plus 8, and here we go. On your calculator up here, I want you to hit the zoom button, and you can see there's a whole bunch of different things. We're going to go to zoom standard, which is zoom 6. You could either have arrowed down to here, or you just go right here and hit 6 and it goes straight to it. So this is our graph, and I'm able to drag it on here, and you're able to see that what it did is it went on here. What a zoom 6 window does is it has this go on here from negative 10 to 10, and then your y goes from -10 to 10. So that's what zoom standard is. That's what a standard window is. It just makes it go -10 to 10 on your x, -10 to 10 on your y. If I want to go to a table, I see that it says table in blue up here right above the graph button. I can hit table and then hit graph, and my table comes up. Mine looks different than yours, and you can see mine's going up by 1/2. What I can do is I can go to this table set button right here, second table set, and it says it's table start at 0. And some students know this. I don't know if everybody does. This triangle is a Greek letter delta, and it means change in the table. I'm going to have it change by 1. And then you can go second, back to your table, and I have the same thing. So I could have asked questions on here saying, you know, what is f of 4? And you can just look straight in your table and say, okay, f of 4 is 0. Or I could have said f of 9, and you can look in your table and say, oops, of 9, and say it's -10. So you can get a lot of values from the table. So it's really a nice feature to have. Here's one more thing. I'm going to go back to my graph on here. There's this right above where it says trace, and it's calc, which stands for calculations. This will be an amazing button that you will use a ton in future years. But if you go to second calc, the first thing says 0. And if you hit enter on it, what you can do is you can have this line here, and you can say, hey, when x is 2, you can type in 2, what do you get? And it'll say, okay, when x is 2, y is 4. Okay, you might want to pause this to write it in your notebook. How did you do that? So again, we went second, our steps we did second, calc, value, and then enter the number and hit enter. Kind of get that off the screen. So those are just some of the notes to help you remember what we just did. So here you go. Why don't you go ahead and we'll go on our calculator and we'll type f of x equals -1/2 x plus 3. So we're going to go to y equals again. I'm going to clear this all out, and I'm going to type in -1/2. And if you forgot how to do it, first of all, negative is down here, and 1/2, you just do 1 divided by 2. That's 1/2 x plus 3. And again, I can hit graph. There's the graph of this. And what I'm saying, hey, what is the value when x is -2? I can go to the calc. If I'm going too fast, you can slow it down, rewind it. And then I hit enter. And I'm saying when x is -2, what do I get? And oops, what did I do? If you have go to, you can go to it. See, I typed in negative. It didn't like it that way. I was just using my keyboard to do that. But anyways, it put this one in when I want this one. So -2. Let's try this again. When x is -2, y is 4. And that's what this is saying. It already gave you the answer there. But this is actually example from page 140 in your book. I want to show you also, I'm back on the calculator now. I'm going to second table. And again, I can see on here when x is -2, I need to go up. So I'm going to arrow up, up, up. And I can pull this screen on here. Is my highlighter gonna work? Let's see. No, can I not get this? Yeah, there's the highlighter. When x is -2, I can see y is 4. Okay. Another thing really quick, just that I can show you. Let's try this. I'm not doing so well with this to go fast. Okay, another thing, just so you know, is that when you're at -2, you can always go up on the graph and then go over. And this might be what you have to do in your homework tonight, if you don't have a graphing calculator at home. And maybe you're like, I think it's close to 4, but graphs can sometimes be inaccurate because when you go up from -2 and over, you might not be able to say, hey, it's exactly at 4, especially when I'm on the computer making crooked lines. So, okay, there's that. So here you go. It's your turn to practice. I want you to pause the video in a second. I want you to graph f of x equals negative, oops. I want you to graph negative x plus 7. And this is the example on page 140, and you have this in your book. And I want you to find f of x when x is 3. So go ahead, pause it, do that, and then come back. All right, to check your work, I'm going to clear this out. You should have had negative x plus 7. And we're going to hit graph. And here's what I want to show you. Well, I guess really quick, let's do this. Here's your table of values, and you can even go -5 to 5, and you can get these values on here, and you can then plot it on here. So it can go from, say, -3, 10, and then it was 0, 7, and I'm not doing all of the points, and then 1, 6, and 2, 5, and 3, 4, and 4, 3, and 5, 2, and then it would keep going down. And I bet you I can just graph this with a straight line. Is this gonna work? Yeah. So as best I can, but there that is. And that actually, the line, just so you know, should have arrows on the end, just to show it's going on forever in each direction. And it's saying, what is the value when x is equal to 3? And hopefully you guys can see, oops, let's see how well I can do this. You can go up, and then you can go over, and you can say, hey, it looks like it's 4. I can also look at the table when x is 3. That's an awful circling job. Anyways, when x is 3, y is 4, so I can see it that way. Somebody yesterday said, can't we just use the equation? And absolutely you can. You could have just gone f of 3 equals -3 plus 7. So f of 3 equals 4. And oops, 4. And you guys can do that. So you can use the graph. You can use your table. You can use this. And if I come back over here on the calculator, I could have gone to second calc, and I can go to value also and find it out when x is 3. Oops. And I get 4. So there's lots of different ways to do this. I want to do one more thing on the calculator. I want to show one more thing. If our window, right now the window on here, don't forget, is going -10 to 10, and it's going from -10 to 10, you want to change that. There's this window button here. And that shows us here that it goes -10 to 10, -10 to 10. Well, on my graph, what if I want to go higher up? Maybe I want to go up to 30. Or further out on my graph on the right, out to maybe say 20, here's what you can do. My x to the left is at -10, and say I want to go out to 20 here. If you were graphing this on paper, you would never count from -10 to 20 counting by 1, so maybe I want to count that by 5s. And then you can just hit enter in between each one. The y, I'm fine leaving. And maybe I'll go up as high as 30 on my y-axis. So this is the vertical axis going up and down. And I would never count by 1s doing that. Maybe I would count now by 10s. And I want to show you how this graph changes. So if I come here, here's the graph now. I'm going to pull it on here just so we can type. So these two graphs are exactly the same, except now this one is coming out as far as 20. And it had gone from -10. This one as high as 30 up here, and it was down here at -10. And the way that we sometimes write this is we write it that the window is going from -10 on the x to 20, counting by 5, by our y values going from -10 to 30, counting by 10s. So hopefully that makes sense what this window is. These are what the x values are going up by. These are what the y values are going up by. On here, I'm going to have you pause this and then you can fill it in. I'm just looking ahead to see what other stuff we had. I'm going to have you work on this one alone and then remind me when we come back in a couple days that we'll go over this and we can answer this question. So go ahead, pause the video on page 142, work on this, and I'll go over that in a couple days. Remind me of that, and then do 2 more. Pause the video right now and work on this one. Okay, on here you should have negative x squared. Oops, that's not right. Somebody asked me the other day where squared is. I'm going to come back over it and delete this. I'm just going to clear out the whole thing. Let's try this. Okay, negative x, and here's the squared button, and then you can go to +5. And when I graph it, oops, see how my window isn't where I want it to necessarily be? I'm going to hit right the same way we started this. Zoom 6, you get this parabola, and I'm going to put it on here. And then we can go to second calc and then value. And I want to know the value when it's -5. And it's going to give me that. Oh, shoot. This isn't working so well. Let's try this again. Second calc, number 1 for value. I want to know when it's -5. Now I should be getting it. And it's telling me that it is 20. So hopefully you got that as an answer. I also want to point out, I think I talked about it with this class yesterday, that when I see a negative here, negative people are sad and sad people frown, and that's why you get this parabola, but it's actually upside down. So hopefully you can remember that. All right, one more. This last one is f of x equals the absolute value of x minus 3 plus 5. First, I got to show you how to put it in the calculator. We're going to go back to the y equals, and we're going to clear it out. And here's what we're going to do. There's a catalog button over here above 0, and it's every button on the calculator. So if you hit second catalog, the first thing that comes up is ABS, and that's absolute value. So we're going to hit that. Mine actually shows the 2 absolute values, but if you're borrowing an older calculator in my room, it might actually still say ABS with parentheses. But right now we're going to type in x minus 3. Now the 5 is outside, so I had an arrow to the right, and then I'm going to go to +5. And then I'm going to hit graph, and I should still be on my standard window. And hopefully you can see this graph move to the right 3 and up 5, because the point used to be here. So my question is, what's the shape of the graph? When you have an absolute value, it will always, 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 always make a V shape. Whereas a parabola comes from x squareds, V shapes come from absolute value. Okay? And then what I want to know is, what is f of 10? Or sorry, f of -10. One way to do it is to go on the value and go to -10. And I should get that value. I guess I can even just pull this right over here. So you get -1018. I could have gone to my table. I have to go up a little bit more. And I could have seen, I am just going to point, since when I try circling it doesn't work well, -10, -18. Okay, so hopefully you're okay at finding different values. I do want to tell you that on Edmodo, it was already posted on Wednesdays, the final exam review packet. You're welcome to start looking at it. You're going to be writing 34 questions for the final exam. Take a look at it. It's online, and I'll hand you out a paper copy when I get back on Friday. And your homework now that you can be working on is 9 through 21 in the packet on page 144. I also want to let you know if you need a graphing calculator at home, you can go to desmos.com and do that. Have a good day.